changes are not unlike what we went through in earlier industrial revolutions, but here's what's different. It's faster. It's coming at us at warp speed. And it's something that we need leadership on to address. Washington can do something, and we're going to be discussing this tonight, and I'll be offering my own views on the shortages of leadership from Washington in the past, not just whenever. But it also is a time for companies to step up to the plate. So now we have three panelists who are really ideally situated to talk about this. Ivanka Trump, who's been on our stage before as an entrepreneur for an international family business company before she took her job at the White House. Marillyn Hewson, who is the CEO of Lockheed Martin, and Cathy Engelbert, CEO of Deloitte. The latter two, of course, are on our Fortune Most Powerful Women list. We congratulate you for that. Please step to the stage. So, ladies, before we get started, we're going to expose some relationships. How many women in this room have been in touch with Ivanka and her team on these kinds of issues in the past? Look at that, see? There's definitely a sprinkling here. Cathy, describe your experience.
Yes, Ivanka and I met talking about our family leave policy for men and women, but up to 16 weeks for any family illness, matter, parental leave, and worked with some at the White House since then.
And Marillyn?
On workforce development, we just recently were in Detroit on computer science education with the President's memorandum of getting money to our schools in that arena, so a couple of times on workforce development.
So Ivanka, this was such an abstract issue for you. You were concerned before joining the White House, but it was fairly abstract. Now that you've been there, you've been on the ground, you've talked to these women, as well as other CEOs, other business leaders, share with us something that strikes you as new and interesting about the needs of the workforce.
Well, it's such a critical topic, and one of the things that I would hear time and time again from the many CEOs, several of which are and many of which are in this room today, two of which are right up here on the stage, was the fact that they have vacant jobs that they're unable to fill, in large part to the skills gap that exists in our country, and it's growing. Today, we have 6 million vacant jobs that Americans are unable to fill and companies are having trouble hiring for. So this represents both an enormous challenge, but a tremendous opportunity to make sure that the education being taught to our students in our classroom aligns with the skill sets for the jobs that are in demand today and will be increasingly in demand in development. It's multi-pronged, because obviously it has to start with our youngest students, K through 12. We have to think about it through the context of post-secondary education, technical school, community colleges. There's really tremendous opportunity there, and industry has led the way on this front through unbelievable collaborations that have deeply inspired me, and we've looked to amplify. So we just signed an executive order in June, very early into the administration, to really unleash industry and enable industry trade organizations to come together to form apprenticeship opportunities and to further create this type of collaboration. So there's so much that we can do in leveraging the needs of industry, the skills that they're looking for, with the ecosystem that we have through our schools, our post-secondary schools, our colleges, and of course through government as a vehicle to scale it. So there's tremendous opportunity there.
And of course, when you want to engage the entire workforce, you don't want to leave behind rural America. You don't want a workforce that's just led by the children of Silicon Valley.
Opportunity to democratize in terms of geographically where people are located. We're very focused on rural communities and inner cities. which is why every president has the opportunity to direct their Department of Education in terms of their priorities. And 2 weeks ago, the president directed the Department of Education to prioritize STEM education with a particular focus on computer science, which we think is really a foundational skill across all industries, not just the tech industry, foundational across all industries. And Marillyn has been so supportive in her private sector contribution to this effort. But we also directed the Department of Education, as they make these funds available to every school district in the country who applies for them, a minimum of $200 million annually, that they design programs with diversity in mind, gender diversity and racial diversity, because that's critical, especially as you think about STEM.
And you also have to think about, we also want to think about immigrants. We've got this population of dreamers who
Oke, langsung aja kita bikin informasinya ya. Si Hewson di belakang.
Who's a Hamilton fan? I always say immigrants, they get the job done. I love that line from Hamilton. But you know, we do have the question of the dreamers, 800,000 young people, most of whom are under 25, most of whom are women. What role should the dreamers be playing in a future workforce?
Well, I think that this is a very complicated issue that needs a long-term congressional fix. I personally am of the opinion and
Jelajahi pusat perbelanjaan mobile Shopee. Nikmati kemudahan belanja.
That protects these innocent people, many of whom were brought to this country as children. But there has to be a long-term fix, and it cannot be bandaged over at a presidential level through another executive order that can be rescinded by a subsequent administration. And I think when the senator was speaking about the need for comprehensive immigration reform, I think that is the right approach, because our system is flawed and it is not equipped to handle the challenges, and our visa program is deeply flawed. We're not retaining the best talent for the jobs that we need, and that has to fundamentally be reconsidered.
So Marillyn, I want to bring you into the conversation because the defense industry has been very much at the forefront of innovation, historically, in modern history, DARPA on down. When you look at trying to create and maintain a nimble workforce, what worries you the most?
Well, what worries me the most is the pipeline of STEM people coming into STEM talent. I mean, that worries me the most because as a company, we're very much about helping governments protect their citizens. We are working on advanced discovery. We're working on innovation. I mean, we're a global innovator. And to the extent that we don't have enough talent that's coming in through science, technology, engineering, and math, that's the thing that worries me